"19th of August 1986. I waved goodbye to her as she left for school, and that was the last time I saw her. That's over 33 years ago. 33 years ago and about a month.
So what happened to Samantha in 1986?
This is one of the key issues. We don't know. We finally found out that she died, but we don't know how. We know that Michael Guider probably took her from the streets of Bondi, kidnapped her and killed her. But that's about all we know. We don't know any details.
Police say the information from the door knock has given them several leads.
15 years later, in 2001, Michael Guider, already in prison for a string of child sex offences, pleaded guilty to the manslaughter of 9-year-old Samantha Knight.
For many years, he was an anonymous figure that accompanied me everywhere, but I didn't know who he was. So at that point, he had a name.
Guider was allowed to serve his time concurrently, which is why, last Thursday, the 68-year-old walked out of Long Bay Prison, having served 17 years.
Michael, what did you do with Samantha Knight?
If it had been imposed as an additional sentence, then he'd still be in jail now.
Protect our kids!
Protect our kids!
Guider's release sparked outrage from some corners of the community calling for sentencing and parole reforms.
No second chances!
Is there any argument in your mind that he has served his time and it's now time for him to be released?
That's a difficult question. If you ask me as Samantha's mother, no, he can never spend enough time in jail. But there is actually nothing he can do. There's nothing he can do to make up for his crime. There may be plenty of opportunities for other people to become rehabilitated and leave jail. I just don't believe he's one of them.
As a forensic psychiatrist who helps oversees the treatment of some of the state's worst sex offenders, the likes of Michael Guider, can they ever truly be rehabilitated and therefore not reoffend?
Well, I think we're putting the bar too high and asking that question of can we ever be sure that anybody who's offended in the past will ever reoffend? Of course, the answer to that is no, we can never be sure about that. You know, risk is not something that we can extinguish. It's something that we try and manage and minimise and get to a level that is acceptable.
Dr. Jeremy ODay works with sex offenders in New South Wales prisons and says the psychological treatment Guider received inside, often called Qubit, lacks evidence.
Unfortunately, programs such as Qubit aren't shown to reduce recidivism rates for sex offenders in terms of them repeating another sex offence.
The UK Ministry of Justice found similar custodial programs actually increased the likelihood of recidivism for sex offenders. Dr. ODay says the most effective treatment includes counselling, strict supervision and anti-libidinal medication, all conditions of Guider's release.
Here in New South Wales, reforms to the High Risk Offender Management Program in 2017 allowed for the state to apply for either a continued detention order or an extended supervision order to commence at the end of an offender's sentence. On advice, the Attorney General of New South Wales did not appeal the court's decision to release Michael Guider from here at Long Bay. Instead, he'll be supervised closely in the community for the next 5 years.
It is disappointing that we can't get the best order that we sought, but the order that we did achieve, an extended supervision order, is very extensive. He will not have freedom like you and I have freedom. Every jurisdiction in Australia now has some kind of high-risk offender scheme to deal with offenders once they've done their time. New South Wales, I'd say, has the toughest regime.
Some of the victims of Michael Guida have told us that they call on you to commit to more reform in this area, specifically over the high-risk offender management program. What do you say to them?
Well, we have reformed this program.
In 2017, but they're calling for reforms now because they say, quote, that Michael Guida's release is need for reform.
Now, we have the toughest regime in Australia. We're talking about people who have served their sentence. They have served their sentence. It's quite exceptional to be keeping people in jail who have served their sentence. So for the very worst offenders, we've got continuing detention orders. For other bad offenders, we've got extended supervision orders. We now have about 110 people on extended supervision orders in New South Wales, which is a record number.
For Tess Knight, 110 violent or sex offenders currently being watched in the New South Wales community is 110 too many. In a case which has seen little closure for a woman who lost her daughter to one of the state's most notorious pedophiles.
Do you think the public should have any faith that the 55 conditions set down for his release will in fact ensure public safety?
Maybe the greater issue is why. Why do we actually have to do this?
Would you like to apologise to your victims?
Why do people have to supervise him 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? Why isn't he in jail? If he's that dangerous that he needs this kind of supervision, why do we let him out into the community in any way, shape or form?
Hi, I'm Leigh Sales. Thanks for watching this story. If you'd like to watch more of 730's stories, they are on the left of your screen. And tap on the button below to subscribe and get the latest from ABC News.